following is a paid program. Talk 103.7 WTIP and Cable Channel 7 welcome you into Financially Speaking with Jim Taunton. Find us live on radio, TV, the IPX Media app, and on YouTube. Just search Financially Speaking NC or get the link at WTIPFM.com. The opinions expressed in this show are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Genoa Wealth Management Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Now, here's your host for Financially Speaking, certified financial advisor, Jim Taunton.
Hello and welcome to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton here. Glad you joined me. Hope you'll be glad when it's all said and done. Doing things a little differently tonight, and actually it's afternoon for me. We're recording this program in the afternoon, about 2 o'clock. And I'm actually at my office. Normally I do the program at home, but due to some issues at the studio, we needed to pre-tape the program. And seeing how I'm working during the day, I figured I would do the program while I'm sitting here at my office. So those on YouTube can see where I work, and those on radio be about the same as usual. You just can't call in and ask a question because I'm not live. So don't call tonight with a question. Save your question for next week, or you can always email me at jim@jtauntonfinancial.com, jim@jtauntonfinancial.com, and I'll be glad to respond with an answer to your question. And we have some good information for you today. And, I'm a certified financial planner. I'm also an investment advisor. So there are two areas that I dip my toes in. And tonight we're going to talk about some issues in both of those areas, investing and planning. But we'll start that in about 2 minutes after the first break.
Aiden Golf and Country Club invites you to become a member. Come tour our beautiful clubhouse, ballroom, and facilities. For a quality golf experience, sign up for our discounted special membership rates, low monthly dues with no quarterly food minimum or assessments. Folks love to play golf at Aiden Golf and Country Club. Cool off at the pool all summer. Enjoy excellent food and beverages from the snack bar. Even store your own cart, unless you like to walk. Call 746-3389 for special limited membership rates at the Aiden Golf and Country Club.
My practice has been built on accessibility, responsiveness, and a willingness to be proactive for my clients. I'm not afraid to make recommendations relating to your investments and planning. I do hope all of your financial decisions are good ones, but let's not rely on hope. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Jim has attained 3 professional designations: Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Life Underwriter, and Chartered Financial Consultant, which entails 20 courses of study with examinations and a comprehensive national board exam, administered by the Certified Financial Planning Board. Jim has been practicing in financial services since 1979, which includes investing, planning, and insurance to help you meet your financial goals. Among the many awards Jim has received in his career is his selection to the Guide of the Top Financial Planners by the Consumer Research Council of America. So if you want to work with someone who is working for you, call Jim at 756-4700 or email him at planning@financiallyspeaking.com. That's 756-4700 and planning@financiallyspeaking.com.
And welcome back to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton here. And again, this program is not live. We are recording this program Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock for replay tonight. It is July the 31st, last day of July. Amazing. Tomorrow is August. Summer is almost over. Wah. In any case, I have good information for you, but you can't call and ask a question tonight since I'm not there. But again, let me tell you that you can email your questions to me at jim@jtauntonfinancial.com, and that's JTAUNTON, financial.com. And I'll be glad to respond to you. But the good thing about doing it in the afternoon, the advantage is the market is still open, things are still happening. This is real time. I can look over here and see what's going on. Yeah, the market was up fairly nicely early on and right after lunch, and that's turning around a little bit. But one of the reasons it was up large to start with is the earnings for Meta and Microsoft. They busted down the doors of what people thought they might show as earnings. I mean, they're doing amazing things, as are most of the mega tech companies. But those two are considered to be bellwethers, and they have done extremely well on earnings. First quarter or second quarter of this year. So that's one of the reasons that the market has reacted very favorably. But also, there were some announcements made by the administration this morning. One of them was concerning South Korea. They came to the table and came to an agreement rather quickly. And then China. As you know, they met with China the last couple of days in Sweden. And although there was no formal announcement, the Secretary of Treasury, Bessent, this morning said that they were just very close to an agreement. It wasn't 100% yet, still a few bugs to be worked out, but he felt like they had a framework for a trade agreement with China. That is excellent news. They are the second largest economy in the world and can be one of our largest trading partners if the agreement works and we get some protections. They open their doors to our products like we've opened them to theirs. It could be a very good arrangement for both countries. So we'll see what happens there. The Fed this week met and made a decision on rates. They're keeping rates the same. We thought they might, even after we've seen some slight slowing in the economy and virtually no inflation right now. They're thinking that the tariffs may cause some inflation later on as it works its way through the economy, but they're not quite prepared yet to lower rates. That was disappointing, but there were two dissenters on the Fed board. We haven't had two dissenters on the Fed board, dissenters from the decision that was made, in decades. It is very unusual for two Fed governors to voice a dissenting opinion to a decision that the Federal Reserve has come to. So they're definitely moving closer to lowering rates. And I dare say the futures are showing a very, very high percentage chance that they'll lower rates in September. We'll have to see what happens there. But the market, it's like market is saying, oh, well, next time, no big deal, which is unusual. Normally, the market will move very much according to what the Fed does, but not this time. The tariffs, it looks like they're going to be set at 15% almost across the board once the agreements are reached. If we don't have an agreement, it'll be higher. But the countries that we have an agreement with, they're going to be set at 15%. And so that won't be too much to swallow, and it will generate huge amounts of revenue for the United States of America. That's a good thing. So right now, we have agreements. If we add in what we received today, we have $10 trillion of onshoring of product and or production as a result of these agreements. $10 trillion. That's phenomenal. So that's gonna, we may hit a GDP growth of 5%, which is incredible. And I've told you on this program many times, we can't cut enough to get ourselves to a neutral on our budget. It just won't happen. There's not enough wiggle room in the budget to do that. We need to cut. We need to make sure that we're using the money correctly, of course, and that's what DOGE is supposed to be doing and has done some. But they could wean out all of the negligence and abuse of funds, and it would still be a drop in the ocean as far as getting us to a balanced monthly budget. And the only way that we're going to get out of this national debt problem, and it is a problem, is to get to a balanced monthly budget for the government and then grow the GDP over time, which will be growing the tax base and will create more and more revenue for the government to utilize to get this debt in hand. That is the only way that it is going to take place. And at least we're heading in that direction. You know, maybe the trajectory has changed in any case. That would be nice. You know, they talk about tariffs creating inflation. Well, if the value of the dollar is going up, and if the dollar went up by 15% in value, that would pretty much eliminate the effect of a 15% tariff on our end. Think about that. If as a result of the tariffs, the revenue that it's creating, the onshoring, you know, so far $10 trillion of onshoring that we've seen, if all that causes the value of the dollar to rise, and if it rose 15%, then that increase in the value of the dollar would almost eliminate any negative effect of tariffs on our economy. And therefore, we would not see inflation in this country as a result of tariffs. That's altogether possible. I don't know if it's probable, but it's altogether possible. So, you know, this financial advisor likes what's going on right now. I really do. I've said it many times. You might not like the man, and I don't like the man, but the policies are possibly going to have a very, very good effect on our country, economically, financially. Okay, we're almost halfway through the program. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and go to the mid-program break. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of converting from a traditional IRA to a Roth. And I believe I'm going to mention some things that you don't hear much from the national pundits that are not taken into consideration, not put into the equation, into the blender when they make their recommendations. And I want you to have all the information so you can make good decisions. And that's what we do on this program, right? That's what I do in my practice, is I help you make all of your financial decisions good ones. Let's go to a quick couple-minute break and we'll be right back.
Aiden Golf and Country Club invites you to become a member. Come tour our beautiful clubhouse, ballroom, and facilities. For a quality golf experience, sign up for our discounted special membership rates, low monthly dues with no quarterly food minimum or assessments. Folks love to play golf at Aiden Golf and Country Club. Cool off at the pool all summer. Enjoy excellent food and beverages from the snack bar. Even store your own cart, unless you like to walk. Call 746-3389 for special limited membership rates at the Aiden Golf and Country Club.
My practice has been built on accessibility, responsiveness, and a willingness to be proactive for my clients. I'm not afraid to make recommendations relating to your investments and planning. I do hope all of your financial decisions are good ones, but let's not rely on hope. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Jim has attained 3 professional designations: Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Life Underwriter, and Chartered Financial Consultant, which entails 20 courses of study with examinations and a comprehensive national board exam, administered by the Certified Financial Planning Board. Jim has been practicing in financial services since 1979, which includes investing, planning, and insurance to help you meet your financial goals. Among the many awards Jim has received in his career is his selection to the Guide of the Top Financial Planners by the Consumer Research Council of America. So if you want to work with someone who is working for you, call Jim at 756-4700 or email him at planning@financiallyspeaking.com. That's 756-4700 and planning@financiallyspeaking.com.
All right, here we go. Jim Taunton back with you. And let me give you my contact information. Somebody would like to contact me for any reason, ask a question or make a appointment for a meeting to meet with me. First meeting with me is at absolutely no cost or obligation. See if we can connect and if I can help be of service to you in some way. But my phone number at the office is area 252-756-4700, 756-4700. My email is jim at letter J, my last name Taunton, Taunton, financial.com. Jim at jtauntonfinancial.com. And my website is jtauntonfinancial.com. And you can get on there and, again, learn more than you ever want to know about Jim and also the whole staff and the advisor that we have in Little Washington, just all kinds of things there. You can also respond to me or you can send an inquiry to me through the website. But there's even a connection there with the broker check through FINRA, the governmental regulatory agency. And broker check lets you know if there have ever been any complaints or findings against any advisor, including myself. I can tell you I have not. I've never had an official complaint filed in 45 years of business, which is, I think, highly unusual. Every meeting I've ever been to, they've said, doesn't matter how good you do things, how well, how right, somebody's going to get mad at you along the way and complain. Not yet. Not yet. All right. What I want to talk to you about again to finish the program is conversion of a traditional IRA to a Roth. It is a hot topic, and there are many national types that are pounding the table on doing this in almost every situation. And I just don't think that's the case. I really don't. And I would suggest you use the Ben Franklin approach, which is draw a line down the middle of your piece of paper, and on one side the pros and on the other side the cons of converting from traditional to Roth. The con, the only, or maybe the pro, the only positive of doing that is you are creating a situation where all of the income stream, eventually, whenever you take it from the Roth in retirement, will be tax-free. And that on the surface sounds very good. But let me throw in a little something there. If you are deferring all the taxation to post-retirement, then you better hope that your tax rate in retirement is lower. That's all I got to say. But should you do it? I don't know. But here are the cons for converting. The big one, you're going to pay taxes right now. So what I did, I assumed a traditional IRA balance of $500,000. I think that's most people that have accumulated money in 401ks and other instruments have at least about $500,000 that they have pre-tax. No tax ever been paid on that. So when you convert that amount of money from pre-tax or traditional to Roth, 100% of that money is taxed. It's deemed to be a distribution. So we will add $500,000 to your income. Now, I know some of these national types, they'll say do it gradually, but ultimately over time, you're going to have a very similar effect as far as the amount of taxes you would pay. So it makes the calculation easier. If I go ahead and tell you what the amount is now, if you converted $500,000, let's just assume a 30% tax rate. You would pay $150,000 in taxes to convert a $500,000 traditional IRA to Roth if you're in a 30% tax rate. That's with federal and state. That's a hefty price to pay. But of course, your money, your $350,000 you have left is going to grow until you retire, and then all those distributions are tax-free. And most of the national types would say, yeah, it's still going to be worth it. But it really depends on the amount of time you have between the time of conversion and the time that you're retiring. The more time you have, the better it looks. But what they don't add to the equation, what they never mention, is the time value of the taxes that you've had to pay. And you've got to have the $150,000 in taxes sitting somewhere else to pay it. If you don't, you would have to take part of your IRA to pay that $150,000. And if you have it somewhere else, then you'll have the whole $500,000 in your Roth growing. But you've had to take $150,000 from your other investments to pay the taxes on the conversion. In any case, you're going to have $150,000 less invested somewhere. So what does that mean, Jim? That means you will have less in your investment pot come retirement, come future, whenever you need it. How much less? Well, everything I'm telling you is totally hypothetical. I mean, it doesn't apply to anybody unless these numbers are exactly what your situation is, which is probably not ever going to be the case. So this is all hypothetical. But if you were age 50 and you were going to retire at 65, for example, now that's unusual because most people are living or working longer than they used to. But let's say that was the case. You retire, you're now 50, you're going to retire at 65, and you're looking at making this conversion, and you convert $500,000. You take $150,000 from your other after-tax investment pot and pay those taxes. What's that costing you? Well, if you were able to earn a market type of return on that money, which I believe I use 10%, we could, if we want to play with numbers, if you're in my office, we can play all we want to with numbers. Well, Jim, what about 8? What about 7? What about 12? You know, what would it look like? Well, I use 10, okay? If we put 150 in something that earned 10% net return after all expenses, and you let it sit there for 15 years, which would be at age 65, it would have grown to $673,000. $673. So you'll have $673,000 less in your investment pot. I mean, pre-tax, after-tax, all of it put together. You'd have $673,000 less to draw an income off of. Folks, I just don't believe in a lot of cases it's worth the cost to convert from a traditional to a Roth. Now, if you're 40 years old and you're just starting to accumulate money, don't have a whole lot accumulated in pre-tax accounts, and you're saying, is it going to be better for me to invest that money in a Roth or a pre-tax? Sure, you might want to use a Roth for some of that, certainly. But even then, I'm in the business, and I've had Roth available to me for a long, long time, and I've used pre-tax investing for all the money that I could use it for. And then the money that I want to invest, if I've maxed out, IRAs or my SEPs or simple plans, whatever I have, pre-tax I can do. If I've maxed those out, then I would use an after-tax investment account to accumulate above and beyond that. But I have not used Roth because I like getting my tax deduction now, because I know what the situation is now. I know what the tax rules are now. I know what my tax rate is now. So I'm in control. Well, if you defer everything until retirement, hopefully the government will not change their minds. But let me ask you, can the government change its mind? Absolutely. Would they change their mind to the detriment of investors sometimes? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can happen, has happened. So I like getting my deduction currently. Save those taxes. Let those tax savings remain in my investment. Get the future value based on a growth rate of that money later on. Absolutely. Do as much pre-tax retirement savings as you possibly can. And above and beyond that, use after-tax or possibly Roth, because you can do both. But that's my philosophy and has been my philosophy. And I haven't gotten into all the weeds, all the calculations that we do for clients, but I hope I've given you enough to think about, so that you'll know that it's not a rule of thumb that everybody should just convert from traditional Roth. I mean, you got to do it. And a lot of the national types will say that, but they don't talk about future value of the taxes that you have to pay. And I think that's a large part of the calculation in my book. Sure is. If you need help with this sort of thing, that's what we do. And again, I love helping people make their financial decisions good ones. That's the idea. So again, area 252-756-4700 is the number. Jim@jtauntonfinancial.com is the email. Let's get together and talk about it. Bring your statements. Let's do some calculations. I've got music in my ear, and I hope this program has helped you with some things, a little different than usual. Next week, maybe we'll be back to the normal format. You can call me with a question. But as always, this is Jim Taunton helping you make all of your financial decisions good ones. Good night, everybody.